Despicable Me is a heartwarming animated comedy film that was released in 2010. Produced by Illumination Entertainment and directed by Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud, the movie introduces us to a world where villains and supervillains vie for supremacy through grandiose schemes and wild escapades. At the center of this story is Gru, a man who aspires to be the greatest villain of all time. Voiced by Steve Carell, Gru's character is complex, driven by a mix of childhood insecurities, a desire for recognition, and a surprisingly soft heart buried beneath layers of malevolence. The movie begins by showcasing Gru's world, a suburban neighborhood where his house starkly contrasts with the bright, cheerful homes of his neighbors. Gru's home is dark, gothic, and equipped with all sorts of villainous contraptions. From the very start, we see Gru's ambition to stand out as a supervillain, which is evident in his every action and his interactions with the world around him. Gru has a plan to cement his place in history. He intends to steal the moon. This audacious plan is not just a random act of villainy but a calculated move to outdo his rival, Vector, another supervillain who recently made headlines by stealing the Great Pyramid of Giza. Vector, voiced by Jason Segel, is the antithesis of Gru. Where Gru is dark and brooding, Vector is energetic and eccentric, often clad in an orange jumpsuit and surrounded by high-tech gadgets. The rivalry between Gru and Vector is one of the central conflicts of the film. Gru's initial attempts to outmaneuver Vector and secure a shrink ray, a critical component for his moon-stealing plan, are thwarted by Vector's superior technology and cunning traps. Gru's lair is not just a den of villainy, it is a bustling hive of activity thanks to his loyal minions. These small, yellow, capsule-shaped creatures speak in an endearing gibberish language and are both hilarious and hardworking. They assist Gru in all his schemes, adding a layer of humor and chaos to his plans. The minions are essential to Gru's operations, embodying the perfect blend of loyalty and comedic relief. In his quest to steal the shrink ray from Vector, Gru encounters three orphaned girls, Margo, Edith, and Agnes. These girls are living in a grim orphanage run by the strict Miss Hattie. The girls sell cookies door to door, and Gru sees an opportunity. Believing he can use the girls to infiltrate Vector's fortress, he adopts them under false pretenses. This marks the beginning of a significant transformation in Gru's life. The girls, especially the youngest, Agnes, bring an unexpected warmth and innocence into Gru's world. Margo, the eldest, is protective and mature beyond her years. Edith, the middle child, is a tomboy with a penchant for mischief. Agnes, the youngest, is the epitome of sweetness, with her love for unicorns and unyielding belief in the goodness of people. As Gru's plans to use the girls unfold, he finds himself slowly charmed by their innocence and their ability to see beyond his villainous exterior. The girls initially struggle to adjust to Gru's home, a far cry from the cheerful surroundings they are accustomed to. However, they quickly adapt, bringing a newfound sense of joy and energy to Gru's life. The scenes where Gru awkwardly navigates parenthood are both humorous and touching. He reads them bedtime stories, albeit with a villainous twist, and takes them to a carnival, where his protective instincts begin to overshadow his initial selfish motives. As Gru grows closer to the girls, his priorities start to shift. This change is mirrored in his interactions with his scientist partner, Dr. Nefario, and his minions, who notice the softening of their once hard-edged leader. Dr. Nefario, voiced by Russell Brand, is a quirky, eccentric inventor who has been by Gru's side for years. He becomes concerned that Gru is losing his focus on their grand plan to steal the moon. Despite his growing affection for the girls, Gru proceeds with his plan. He successfully steals the shrink ray and begins preparations for the moon heist. However, his newfound fatherly duties start to clash with his villainous aspirations. A pivotal moment occurs when Gru has to choose between attending the girls' ballet recital and proceeding with his heist. Under pressure from Dr. Nefario and his own ambitions, Gru reluctantly chooses the latter, leaving the girls heartbroken. Gru's decision to prioritize his heist over the girls marks a significant turning point in the story. The moon heist is executed with precision, showcasing Gru's ingenuity and determination. He successfully shrinks the moon and brings it back to Earth, momentarily reveling in his triumph. However, the victory is hollow without the girls to share it with. This realization hits Gru hard, as he comes to understand that his true happiness lies not in villainy but in the bonds he has formed with Margo, Edith, and Agnes. Meanwhile, Vector kidnaps the girls, using them as leverage to steal the shrunken moon from Gru. This act of betrayal forces Gru to confront his feelings and priorities head-on. In a dramatic rescue mission, Gru, with the help of his minions and Dr. Nefario, infiltrates Vector's fortress. The rescue is filled with tension and action, culminating in a heart-pounding showdown between Gru and Vector. Gru's determination to save the girls highlights his transformation from a self-centered villain to a caring father figure. The climax of the film is both thrilling and emotional. Gru manages to rescue the girls, but the moon, now unstable due to its shrinking, returns to its original size and floats back into space. This loss symbolizes Gru's abandonment of his villainous dreams in favor of something far more valuable, his newfound family. The bond between Gru and the girls is solidified in these moments of peril and triumph. The movie concludes with a heartwarming scene where Gru, now fully embracing his role as a father, attends the girls' ballet recital. The minions, who have been Gru's faithful companions throughout his journey, celebrate with him, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Gru's life. He is no longer defined by his aspirations of villainy but by the love and joy he finds in his adopted daughters. Despicable Me, Part 2 opens with Gru adjusting to his new life as a doting father. Gone are the days of grand heists and evil schemes. Instead, Gru is now focused on mundane tasks like planning birthday parties and managing his household. Despite his best efforts to maintain a semblance of normalcy, Gru's past catches up with him in an unexpected way. The Anti-Villain League, an organization dedicated to combating supervillains, takes an interest in Gru due to his extensive knowledge of villainy. Gru is initially reluctant to return to a life of intrigue, but he is persuaded by the head of the AVL, Silas Ramsbottom, and his enthusiastic partner, Lucy Wilde. Lucy is a quirky and energetic agent who quickly forms a bond with Gru, much to his initial annoyance. The AVL recruits Gru to help them track down a new supervillain who has stolen a dangerous mutagen called PX-41. This serum has the power to transform harmless creatures into ferocious, purple monsters. Gru's mission is to go undercover with Lucy in a shopping mall, where the AVL suspects the villain is hiding. The duo sets up a front as the owners of a bakery, aptly named Bake My Day, as they begin their investigation. As Gru and Lucy delve deeper into their mission, they encounter a host of eccentric characters, including the flamboyant and suspicious Mexican restaurateur, Eduardo Perez. Gru becomes convinced that Eduardo is actually El Macho, a notorious villain who faked his own death years ago. Gru's instincts are proven correct when he discovers Eduardo's hidden lair and the mutated minions, who have been turned into indestructible purple monsters by the PX-41 serum. Meanwhile, Gru's personal life becomes increasingly complicated. His eldest daughter, Margo, develops a crush on Eduardo's suave son, Antonio. Gru, ever the protective father, disapproves of the budding romance and goes to great lengths to keep them apart. This subplot adds a layer of humor and heart to the story, highlighting Gru's struggles to balance his roles as a father and a secret agent. The minions, Gru's loyal and bumbling henchmen, play a significant role in the film's plot. They are unknowingly kidnapped and transformed into the purple monsters by El Macho, who plans to use them to take over the world. The minions' transformation and subsequent rampage provide some of the film's most memorable and humorous moments. Despite their monstrous appearances, the minions' inherent goofiness and loyalty to Gru shine through, endearing them to audiences even more. As Gru and Lucy's investigation intensifies, so does their relationship. Gru begins to develop feelings for Lucy, although he is initially too shy to act on them. Lucy, with her vibrant personality and unwavering support, proves to be a perfect match for Gru. Their growing bond adds an element of romance to the film, making it more than just a comedy or action adventure. The climax of Despicable Me 2 brings together all the film's elements: humor, heart, and high stakes. Gru and Lucy discover El Macho's plan to unleash his mutated minions on the world. With the help of Dr. Nefario, Gru's former evil scientist who has had a change of heart, they develop an antidote to reverse the effects of the PX-41 serum. Gru, Lucy, and a small group of unmutated minions launch a daring rescue mission to save the kidnapped minions and stop El Macho. The battle is intense, with the purple minions proving to be formidable opponents. However, Gru's clever tactics and the antidote ultimately prevail. The minions are restored to their normal, lovable selves, and El Macho is defeated in a humorous yet fitting manner. In the aftermath of the battle, Gru and Lucy's relationship reaches a new level. Gru finally musters the courage to express his feelings for Lucy, and she reciprocates. The film concludes with a joyous celebration, where Gru and Lucy's budding romance is officially acknowledged. The girls are thrilled to have Lucy as a new member of their family, and the minions, as always, add their own brand of chaotic fun to the festivities. The film ends on a high note with a double wedding, Gru and Lucy, and Margo and Antonio, each enjoying a dance and celebration. The closing scenes show the minions, back to their usual mischief, ensuring that the film ends with laughter and warmth. Despicable Me 3, the third installment in the wildly popular franchise, continues the adventures of Gru, his family, and his beloved minions. The story begins with Gru and Lucy, now married and working together as agents for the Anti-Villain League. They are tasked with capturing Balthazar Bratt, a former child star turned supervillain, voiced by Trey Parker. Bratt is stuck in the 1980s, complete with shoulder pads, mullet, and a penchant for dancing to Michael Jackson's Bad. His life took a dark turn after his TV show was cancelled, and he has since dedicated himself to becoming a real-life villain, using 1980s pop culture-inspired gadgets and music as his weapons. Gru and Lucy's mission to capture Bratt initially seems successful, but they ultimately fail, allowing Bratt to escape with a valuable diamond. This failure leads to Gru and Lucy being fired from the AVL by the new boss, Valerie Da Vinci. Gru is devastated, and his situation worsens when he learns that his loyal minions, led by Mel, are unhappy with his decision to remain out of the villainy game. They believe Gru has gone soft and decide to leave him in search of a new villainous master, leading to a series of hilarious and chaotic adventures on their own. Meanwhile, Gru receives surprising news from his long-lost twin brother, Drew, who invites him to visit his mansion in Fredonia. Drew, also voiced by Steve Carell, is everything Gru is not: wealthy, charming, and successful. He sports a full head of luxurious blonde hair and has a sunny disposition. Gru, feeling despondent and uncertain about his future, reluctantly agrees to meet Drew, bringing along Lucy and their 3 adopted daughters, Margo, Edith, and Agnes. In Fredonia, Gru learns that his late father was a legendary supervillain, and Drew wishes to continue the family legacy. Drew, despite his exterior of success, is an incompetent wannabe villain who idolizes Gru's past as a notorious villain. Drew begs Gru to teach him the tricks of the trade, but Gru is initially resistant. However, seeing an opportunity to steal the diamond back from Bratt and reclaim his job at the AVL, Gru agrees to help Drew under the guise of mentoring him in villainy. As Gru and Drew bond over their shared heritage, Lucy struggles with her new role as a mother. She is determined to be a good stepmom to Margo, Edith, and Agnes, but feels uncertain and awkward. Lucy's journey of self-discovery and her efforts to connect with the girls add a layer of warmth and emotional depth to the film. Agnes, the youngest and most innocent of the 3, is particularly endearing as she embarks on a quest to find a real unicorn, believing they exist in Fredonia. The climax of the film revolves around the confrontation with Balthazar Bratt. Gru and Drew team up to infiltrate Bratt's lair, located on his floating ship. Their dynamic as a team is both humorous and touching, with Drew's clumsiness often causing more problems than solutions. However, Gru's patience and determination shine through as he tries to guide his brother. Inside Bratt's lair, the brothers face numerous obstacles and traps inspired by 1980s pop culture. Bratt himself is a formidable foe, using his dance moves and weaponized gadgets to thwart Gru and Drew's efforts. The battle is a visually spectacular sequence filled with humor, action, and nostalgic references that will delight audiences of all ages. As the battle intensifies, Gru manages to outwit Bratt and retrieves the stolen diamond. However, Bratt is not easily defeated. He enacts his grand plan to destroy Hollywood using a giant robot version of himself, powered by the diamond. Gru and Drew must now prevent this catastrophic event. In a thrilling and hilarious showdown, they manage to sabotage the robot, saving Hollywood from destruction. The film concludes with several heartwarming moments. Gru and Drew's bond is stronger than ever, with Drew deciding to embrace his own unique talents rather than trying to follow in Gru's footsteps. Gru, having regained his job at the AVL, finds a renewed sense of purpose and happiness. Lucy, too, finds her place within the family, solidifying her role as a loving and capable mother to the girls. The minions, after a series of misadventures that see them briefly imprisoned and then leading a prison break, return to Gru, reaffirming their loyalty and love for their former master. The film ends on a joyful note, with the entire family united.